Corki, right? Where it gets to function in the early game. We'll see again how much agency he is allowed to be given.
My almost three champions, favorite champions for Kevo that are still left open would be Yunara, Xayah, and potentially Kai'Sa as well, depending on the matchup. Why I don't necessarily add Kai'Sa right there is I feel like she really needs a good support matchup to actually shine in lane, and if you don't have red side, it's like really difficult to counterpick support. So I feel like Xayah and Yunara are a little bit more non-dependent on the support matchup to actually be oppressive in lane.
Same bans coming through. Now, is the Yunara going to be banned by LR? Blue side, what's the priority for you, Rich Game? What do you have in mind to change versus the Rats? Because aggressive, there was no aggression at the previous game. It was just passive after passive, letting them play it. The Yunara is taken away, just like the previous one. So, bans are not going to change.
That should be a Sion right there, unless Rich Gang is looking for the Sion themselves, right? We have seen a lot of B1 Sions that can come through for a lot of teams, particularly when there's not a lot of AD carries that can take the Sion down, but Brownie primarily plays those AD carries that scale into the late game and take down Sions. And seeing the Kled ban right here, it kind of makes me think that this could potentially be something like a Sion top side of the map.
Yeah, could be. We'll see where LR decide to go in terms of that third ban. I'm not necessarily sure what they'd want to target. Really, on red side, it's always a little bit strange at this point, especially with wow. Okay, they self-ban the Sion. They don't want to deal with it. Yeah, neither did I, to be honest. But here we are. Now the question is, what do Rich Gang want to blind? Because to me, LR, like, their priorities normally would be after Azir, it's Syndra. Top side, obviously there's a lot of pinch going on there. At this point, you're thinking, I mean, you'd already be at champions like Gragas, but Gragas is gone, right? So that's really my concern now is, where does Baus go? Oh, I hate the Ambessa first pick. Because now this is either a rare Baus Renekton game, or it's just Volley Bear Slam. Like, that is what this should be. It's the answer that he's had anytime he's had to deal with Ambessa and the champ's been up. And I don't see a reason for him not to take it.
Hey, I don't mind Renekton either. He's played a couple of Renekton games too, just take firm control of that early game. But Volibear is just like one of the cult classics, right? I actually thought this was gonna be a rumble, but then Baus plays Galio to sort of counter it in lane, right? So that's why they probably didn't feel very comfortable. Blue side is a side where you usually don't get a bunch of counter picks. However, here you have the chance onto the Syndra. What does D-Haste really want to play? Maybe you can go for like an Annie plus Nocturne, and you play sort of like an all-in kind of composition from the side of Rich Gang.
I mean, it's Annie or it's Orianna, right?
Okay, it's the new proof comp. Okay.
Yeah,
all right,
new proof comp. It's very, very difficult to muck this combo up. The question then really is, what does Velia want to do? Because into Orianna Nocturne, to me, like, Xin Zhao is something that I would imagine Velia would like to play here. But I know there's been a lot of discussion internally about the champ with the LR boys. It's going to be Jarvan, so kind of a little bit more focused around the re-engage and obviously initial engage if they do catch members of Rich Gang out. And we'll see exactly how it gets to perform. Looking towards the mid lane, right? Because there's just so much pressure immediately. Laning as Orianna against Jarvan and Syndra sounds like a nightmare, and you don't have an early jungler that's going to be wanting to stick around to, actually give you coverage a lot of time. Nocturne wants the farm to sit quickly.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. If that was anyone else other than Baus, I'm like, stick that Volibear into the jungle. That's pretty good into the Nocturne. Also really nice when you set him up with the Syndra as well. Not gonna be the case. Still, Syndra plus Jarvan, a fantastic duo in the early game. Again, you don't necessarily need that level 6 to put pressure either on the Nocturne or the Orianna. I am not a big fan of the Xayah ban right here, but seeing as you have that wombo combo diving straight into the backline, you definitely want to avoid Xayah because she's one of the best anti-dive champions. However, it leaves with a question mark right here. What does Kevo have in a team that wants to fully dive forward to actually engage with them in that matter?
We know those hyper carries getting a little bit more attention nowadays, but Yunara is out. Do you go for the cheap version of getting the Zeri? I don't see it because you have to scale, and you're not going to get that gold unless you get aggressive on the early game. So something aggressive, would that be the idea?
I mean, the pick that would be on my mind in a circumstance like this would be a Lucian lane. But Kevo has not necessarily wanted to really play that, seemingly, from the drafts that we've gotten out of Rich Gang a lot of the time. But I do feel like it would band-aid a lot of the potential, like, hey, Crownie gets the first pick on AD here, and Reckless is going to get support counter. Lucian blind lanes tend to be able to deal with a majority of other 2v2s, and then you get to deal with, mid lane priority as well, which I think when you're running Nocturne, you always want to have that priority because then you get to make plays on the side significantly easier. And with a Sivir lock, potentially, which I don't see Crownie not locking, it seems a little bit more like that would be the angle. But again, it doesn't really seem like that would be what Kevo wants to answer something like the Sivir with.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie here. Seeing Alaric on Nami is like having Hylissang on Lulu. I definitely, not that you can't play it, but I feel like, again, he is the fire starter. We didn't necessarily get to see that a lot on the Rel. So I would love to see him on his cult favorite, Leona. And I know that this is a little bit paradox right here, but a Leona lane plus a carry that can actually shift around the fight could be very useful to them. Then.
They were talking about it. Sorry, like that swap was so last second. They had to have been talking about Zeri, but then they must still be deliberating. Is honestly my best guess. I don't like to read into like last second hovers like that, but sometimes you just get a bit of a feel, and that is just one of those moments where it felt like that's the case. I mean, compositionally, they're going to be able to do the follow-up thing. Yeah, like, do I like the Zeri here myself? Not necessarily, but it can definitely survive a lot of the initial dive. Oof. But Lulu coming in now also just means, like, lane priority is going to be wholly bot side favored, right? Diving in with this Nocturne Orianna combo with potentially Rakan, Wild Growth, Polymorph, all the slows, the shields as well, if you don't get through that initial burst, it's going to suck.
I'm just gonna say, there's only one target for Rich Gang right here, and he's dead smack in the middle of the rift, and that's all the nemesis for Uzhan. So I feel like one of his really, really successful games in the NLC was onto that Nocturne. He hit that level 6 off of the second Scuttle Crab, so I feel like my eyes are peeled on that second Scuttle Crab that gives that level 6 usually to the junglers, and see what Uzhan does with his first ult of the game.
So we talked about it. It's up to you now to vote on the team you think is going to win, Rich Gang, or is going to be LR. Put in your predictions on the chat. We'll talk about it as we jump into the game. And now, for the masterminds of the cast, let's send it to initialize in the 3-0 Rich Gang Aragon.
Nah, I'm just messing with you. I'm definitely not muted. Glad to be with you all. Aragon, any response there? 030 Rich Gang voter.
I mean, what can I say? I just have to accept it, no? Like, I mean, what else? If I start making excuses, it's kind of cringe. So
yeah, don't be Raz.
I'll just
don't be Raz.
I'll take it on the chin. I'll take it on the chin.
Oh, 100%! The chat is full of rats!
Not a
it's
single...
an infestation!
RG?
Rich Gangers, where are you?
Whew. Holy moly. I mean, I don't blame them. I don't blame them from last game. So...
Yeah. I mean, also, we were both looking at this draft and going, LR, they've got a lot of control topside because Baus on the volley bear into the Amber, so he's very good at this matchup. And then you've got hyper carry with Enchanter bot lane. Like, you do outscale so hard then, no?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, the thing is, when you have an Enchanter plus an AD carry, very little outscales that, except for, like, very uncounterable dive, which I guess you could argue Nocturne Orianna is with the Rakan follower, but still, you're looking at that outscaling. You don't have an Enchanter to match, so the game is going to have to get a little bit volatile for Rich Gang come the mid game, I think. You're going to want to play on that Ambessa Eclipse spike. You want to play those team fights and stack dragons with that dive if you're the side of Rich Gang. Kevo going towards the Zeri, so he makes sure he has a dash versus that Jarvan ultimate, but my biggest concern is actually top lane, right?
Yeah.
Baus has a very free matchup where Matix can't really do too much early game, and Volibear's going to have perma push the entire lane, so he's going to be able to crash whatever wave he wants, he's going to be able to farm whatever wave he wants, and proxy whatever wave he wants, and we saw him win last game through proxying and moving down to Dragon already, so not a strong early match for Matix, a little bit concerned for Baus.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I think he could definitely take up. This started with the early Dark Seal. We know how he likes to play with that if he gets to proxy again with no response, no less. Actually, he just got to proxy largely for free last game, and arguably one of the turning points with Ozhan, kind of forced to chase after a level 5 Baus and get no value, waste 30 seconds to give up the early Dragon and early kind of clear speed over towards Velia that became really problematic.
No, absolutely. And both junglers going to be full clearing. Jarvan full clearing down to bot side. Maybe going to try and disrupt bot lane for Velia right here. Going to gank towards bot side. I think, you know, what's going to happen bot for Lost Ratones is the Lulu lane is going to just push in Rakan and Zeri, and they're going to slowly win. And the reason that's problematic is you really need some help down in bot side to disrupt that perma-pushing bot lane 2v2 that's ranged, maybe from the Nocturne, to try and break up, just like last game, try and break it up and try and allow for Alaric and Kevo to be able to play. Otherwise, you're going to lose platings to Crowny off cooldown. The problem is, though, Osan, he doesn't have a champion that can actually gank too well, as Velia looks for a gank mid.
Gonna find the stun. Velia can look
EQ
for
flash.
it here again. He's going for the 3 camp into play. I think it might be worth the flash. Dehast needs to be very wary here. The flag and drag will be flashed away from, but Dehast down that extra summoner. That's rough early on. Still got a quadrant to clear, and again, the bot side prio is already there, so no real punish available.
Yeah. Nice 3 camp into mid gank. Right there for Velia, really creative from the top side, and it's going to pop the flash of Dehast. Now, the problem is that flash is going to be down for when Jarvan is level 6 as well. So a regank post-ultimate here is going to be really effective in mid lane onto Dehast. I'm really concerned about it, but look at this. Bot lane, the 2v2, I told you, it's going to be quite brutal with the Lulu lane into the Rakan, a classic counter. To pick the double range lane into the Rakanas, you really don't have that much threat in lane. And it's going to be platings for Lost Ratones as Kevo really struggles to farm, getting bullied. And again, he's going to need jungle help at one point, or to maybe look for a swap to get out of this lane.
Yeah. And if he doesn't, we're going to have a bit of a replay from last game. Remember, we saw the double ranged into Rich Gang. They tried to go with the engaged support, and Lost Ratones just had them shoved in, and the Bard was still getting around the map, still finding picks, still finding engage options, despite not being an Alistair or whatever. And if they are getting a lot of value out of this, then I think Rich Gang could be in trouble, because again, they have been very reliant on Kevo to be a superstar carry. He's doing over 30% of the team's damage on average. Dehast is right there with him, but if you're losing one of those core damage carries, then are Rich Gang going to be able to operate in those team fights that they have needed to look towards of late?
Yeah, Velia going to contest those rates as well. I will say one of the best things that Baus has done this game is not die to the full clear to topside whilst proxying. He knew that potentially, right, that Nocturne was pathing towards topside and avoided that gank by recalling, you know, really, really good stuff there. And now, because Nocturne started bot side, he's going to have to be bot side again at this timer and clear up the top. So Baus knows, you know, I have time to proxy again. He's going to proxy all the way down to tier 3 and find himself a good timer to recall. My question is, are we going to lane swap ever at any point in this lane timer? I don't think so. I think you want Baus into Ambessa to be able to bully that lane phase and not mismatch, whilst you have Lulu Severe consistently punishing down in bot side. And like I said, right, the early game is going to be kind of Lost Ratones' favor, but there will be this like mid-game dip where Rich Gang has more agency. The problem I have is that Rich Gang's win condition is very thin. You have to play the mid-game out extremely well. Post level 9, Eclipse Ambessa, you know, the scaling of Nocturne Ori and Rakan over the top to one-shot people and stack dragons, it's very hard in this limited window to get a big enough lead before you're outscaled.
Yeah, because they will run this issue like that if you start going in with the Nocturne Orianna and going like 1 for none or 1 for 1 and not getting enough value there, the extended fights are going to get very tricky. And remember about that flash being down. It's not even with the level 6, it's just jumping on forwards. Nemesis waiting for the force to fall on the Dark Sphere, and the kill goes the way of Velia, just out of range of the turret afterwards. And there's the punish we were talking about. Dehast down for first blood.
Yeah, Dehast really struggling. Yeah, first blood down, like you said. I'm really surprised it's a gank pre-6, not just trying to rush to 6 and then gank to make sure it works. But what do I know? Velia makes it work as Osan gonna look to cancel Nemesis, but it's really not gonna do that much. Nemesis is just fine, delayed his recall by a couple seconds, and it's a really good punish here onto the flashless Orianna. Now again, that flash is still going to be down for a potential regank, as, you know, Matic's trying to contest the proxy right here. I mean, this is the counterplay. You want to win these 1v1s and stop it happening.
Gosh, and this is the problem. He didn't win the 1v1s last game. They tried to punish it last game and failed. Baus got to proxy for free. Osan is also mid lane here, and I don't necessarily blame him. Again, we need this mid jungle to be strong for Rich Gang, but when you're getting shoved in bot side, Baus is proxying for free topside, and there isn't really a good response, then it feels like there's a bit of damned if you do, damned if you don't catch-22 scenario going on right now for Rich Gang.
Yeah, winning top side, winning bot side, losing a plating in bot, and 2 in top whilst Baus is consistently proxying, and your champions just aren't strong enough to contest and stop them, because the counterplay to proxying is to stop them proxying by killing them, you know, or pushing back and trying to counter proxy as well. But you're just so weak on this Ambessa in the early game and Rakan that you just can't do anything, and you just have to take it and lose platings. Osan as well. Still not quite level 6, trying to get the Velia with a lead, and really, your counterplay starts once you ding 6 here, so we need to keep an eye on that. Now he's level 6, maybe he can look mid lane onto the immobile control mage, or to bot lane. My only concern is that Wild Growth as Velia looks mid again.
Taking
No
off.
flash to haste. Oh, he does have flash.
Go,
Actually.
paranoid. They're going to try and turn onto the Jarvan who's trying to flag and drag away. Burned the flash to try and keep the tether in range and failed anyway.
Yeah, not going to quite punish that. Wants to spell shield the EQ knockup, but doesn't quite land it as poke damage comes down onto Baus, but that shield's going to do more work. And Dragon, now that you don't have that global on Nocturne, that's such a long cooldown. Right, 180 seconds, I think, around that mark, and you're just not going to be able to find anything? It's going to be a Dragon to Lost Ratones.
I mean, you were literally saying that the Nocturne Orianna combo needs to work. We need to see value from it. The first ultimate leads to not even a flash blown. It's just a flag and drag. You need to be getting more value from that, and that is not a good sign for Rich Gang, as another early Dragon's going to go with the way of Lost Ratones. They've already started to get significant advantages in those side lanes, as we've been talking about. Sure, the CS numbers aren't that crazy right now. We're matching culls largely, but that mid-jungle, the fact that the Syndra is up a lot into this Orianna right now, that should be worrying. Lost Ratones up 1,000 gold, and if Rich Gang are kind of giving away priority elsewhere on the map, it ain't looking that different to how Game 1 went, Aragon.
No, it's really, really not, is it? And now, because you have no ultimate on Ozan here, they're probably going to have to play for one grub and get out. Baus has permapush in this matchup, and Ozan's even deliberating, like, do I have time to contest one? It looks like he's going to commit. And you can see the mentality behind Lost Ratones is they're not going to fully commit to contesting this. Crowny actually ran bot side, but Velia might have something to say to Ozan. No ulti available for the Nocturne.
Yeah, could get a bit interesting. Again, the Paranoia is down. Reckless is here as well with that Wild Growth you called out a little while earlier as well. So even if you do go in, just press the R button, become a little bit bigger for a little while, and it becomes a lot hard to kill you. So those grubs will get traded to Lost Ratones, and that's a second early game objective. They've gotten that first kill. They need a couple more of those, but this second objective towards the feature strength marker, it's another strong early game that isn't scrappy, it's disciplined, which I think is the term we wanted to use. Again, for all the farm numbers have always been good, plays have often been a little bit back and forth as Ozan. Oh no.
No flash.
No paranoia, he's just dead. The Cataclysm there, and it is just a leash.
That's rough. That's really rough. That's a dead Nocturne. We're really not finding the effectiveness out of this pick as an engage comes down, but I feel like this is just... Is this optimistic?
Yeah.
Reckless is just going to dip on out of there with a heal move speed.
So that's the quickness down. It'll be a heal and a whimsy, and he just gets to walk away. At least you get a summoner, I guess, but is it really going to be the end, be all and end all here? It's not really changing all that much. We've got a few minutes, I suppose, until something like a dragon, so maybe that summoner discrepancy can hurt a little later on, but Matix is all but lost to third plate here. It's another kill going on over. Velia again starts the game 2-0. We've got big CS leads in mid. Another disciplined early game, and yes, obviously sometimes we talk about Lost Ratones early games in negative fashion, but let's be real, they've always farmed well, they've always found gold, it's just not been clean. These early games, 2 games in a row, have been clean, have been disciplined, and Rich Gang have not managed to find any counter punches at all. They've been barely able to find something in the way of kills. At the moment I say it, Velia ends up in a 1v3, is about to get paranoid. Como's coming on over. I apologize, Velia. That's what we call a caster curse, folks.
Yeah, perfect timing. Sam, as always, I like that. And that's a kill going over to Kevo right there. Precisely what Rich Gang need. I mean, this game was really falling away for them. Aside from the platings, all the kills, you know, that's going to be a third plating for Baus now. With that B1 and Bessa falling so far behind, Matix assuming, you know, Baus doesn't really play Renekton. You know, he can't have that great of an answer, but Baus finding a lot of value already in this proxying. You needed to get someone some gold here, and now it's all on Kevo. Double buffs and a shutdown. 1-0 going towards that, I believe, you know, experimental hexplate, which isn't something you very often see. It's usually the Yuntal IE for the Zeri alongside the kill. So hopefully, you know, with that hexplate value, he'll pop off right here.
Being a little bit creative there with the builds. I know there was a period we saw a little bit of hexplate on Zeri, but very briefly. Gives you just more ultimates, and when you are so reliant on that to get like your team fight damage, makes you a bit tankier into some of this burst. I can see the thought process at least. I don't know whether it's necessarily good. I'll withhold comment until I see it in action, I guess.
Yeah, I think so. I think I will too. I'm just addicted to the Yuntal and IE spike.
Really
I think it's
nice.
just such a strong
so good.
2-item spike. Whenever I see like Sivirs not build Yuntal IE, I see Essence Reaver Navori. I just look at the damage. I think it's so pitiful, man.
You just get to farm for free. Just stand in mid lane and press W with no cost.
Yeah,
you get to play Farmville.
Yeah, I suppose. But double hexplate. We are team experimental hexplate today for Rich Gang. Rich hexplate. Yeah, all the ultis. So we'll see how well they play, consistently activating the ultis to try and find summoners, try and find picks with their snap engages. And this is really where Rich Gang come online. Right, Rich Gang's composition comes online very heavily in the early to mid-game transition when you can play with the Rakan enabled by Nocturne mobility and Ambessa mobility. You find the dive with the first item on Eclipse on the Ambessa, who can now look to take better trades as well into the volley bearers. Rich Gang, they're going to look towards topside.
Oh, Baus going to chunk out well onto Matix. Ozan coming on over, has got 8 seconds on that Paranoia. Matix will eat a lot of damage before getting that. Another Sky Splitter comes on down. Matix is really afraid! They tried to wait on the Paranoia, and he just steps too far forward. He's going to try and reset out. He's got a 3-level advantage here, Ozan. I don't know how easy this will be. Will ult through the Shockwave, and the Stormbringer comes on down, trying to turn it around, as he's got a Sky Splitter. The damage back is foul. Sure, you've got a Conqueror, and eventually they bring it down, but that Volley Bear was looking mighty nasty. He takes 3 members, and he still takes his opposite number with him.
Yeah, but look on the other side of the map. That's the Dragon and Platings in mid lane for the Syndra. Nemesis is going to be really, really happy as Rich Gang, they tried to go onto the Lulu, but aren't going to find anything. A punish onto Osan as he enters his weak side, maybe.
Oh, man. Force of will. Ult! Oh, and an execute.
Elastic.
That's another kill going on over. Lost Ratones punish as he tries to get into the bot side jungle. It just goes from bad to worst. Sure, you got an ult and a heal off Reckless, but that really is the smallest of silver linings.
Yeah, Alaric gonna flash engage
Hang
though.
on. They've got the decent exhaust down and get the flash in the barrier. There's no on the hunt quite yet because he's trying to run for his life. The last auto!
No.
Flash for the burst fire. TP behind. In comes Syndra. Alaric now potentially in danger. So is Kevo, who can maybe look to try and skate around here as Reckless also low. Flag, drag, knocked out of his E. No chance to get over the wall, and they will turn this one around. Nemesis donated another kill, and Rich Gang find the engage, but it doesn't come for free.
Yeah. The kills onto Nemesis, I mean, this is his champion right here. Syndra and all the gold going towards him. That's going to accelerate his scaling. Already on 1 item. 2 items very, very fast. I'm worried. I'm concerned for Rich Gang. I mean, once again, the Zeri finding a kill. A nice engage from Alaric to try and find something on the map. And it all starts with Baus 1v3ing. I would love to see a replay of that because that was really, really grim. The spacing onto the Ambessa was buying time and making sure that, you know, I'm still in range to be able to flash W with that mark over the top of Matix's head. I think Bowser showing another level in terms of the 1v1.
Like he's had to go towards Executioner's Calling, just try and manage it. Here comes the Paranoia, the Knockwave combo. That is nice. The moment we speak well about it, though, Baus ends up blasted by that mid-jungle duo finding their way towards the top lane.
And that looks like it could transition, you know, into the Rift Herald, which then in turn could transition into the next Dragon if they place it as a Battle Herald or in mid lane to be able to get Prio and enter to Dragon. So, very good situation right here. If they hold on to this Rift Herald, and it doesn't look like it's going to be contested, but first tower going to be approached to by Lost Ratones here. With the 2 Gruff to 1 advantage, this will be Nemesis hitting this tower and taking it first.
Will indeed be there with the additional grubs. Reckless also around, so that turret goes on down. They've already claimed feat of strength with the objectives and the kills going their way, so the strongest feat in existence. Lots of gym training.
Oh yeah, of course. Of course. Yeah, that's usually you almost always see it with First Blood Tower. You don't usually see it with all the objectives on one team and purely kills. That caught me off guard right there. But still, really, really good for Lost Ratones. A whole bunch of tower gold onto Nemesis as he accelerates towards his Cosmic Drive. And Syndra know just how powerful that is. That's a lot of move speed. That's a lot of CDR and HP. You're going to be so strong right there. And Bausey, he's not weak either. He's going to be strong. He's going to be able to push up and still win in the 1v1. So side lanes are looking pretty good right now. The only problem the side laners have on the side of Lost Ratones is monitoring that Nocturne situation. If you don't know where Nocturne is, it's pretty hard to be able to play the side lane because you have to give so much respect. But I get the feeling that Bausey's not going to respect and that he's just going to hit towers anyway.
What on earth would give that away? You know, there's no historical precedent for Baus playing aggressively or over-aggressively in a side lane. Never been known to die for a wave. Never, ever,
He won't
ever.
be twos those. He won't be twos those if it's going to happen. I mean, to be fair, you know, he got it right. Nocturne is down in bot side. You know, the threat of it isn't going to be enough to dissuade him. And now we're looking for the Nocturne Ori combo. Can we one-shot Nemesis in side lane here? That's the question.
Look for the Knockwave combo. Oh, the Luden's proc is good, but there's a Wild Growth behind, trying to scatter the weak after having already unleashed the power. A lot of balls go scattering forwards. Force of will available. Flag, drag. And I think Ozan is going to be picked up by Reckless. Now trying to run after T-Haste, who does get his bit of a speed up there with the command Dissonance. Over the wall goes Alaric with the Battle Dance. But Crownie now coming on forwards. Flag, drag, the quickness back. Kevo will turn into Lightning Crash to buy some value, but Crowny throwing out a large pizza, the delivery, looking a little bit aggressive. And I don't know whether Rich Gang have enough money in the bank to tip the delivery driver. They'll get out to safety, but they do lose Ozan on that attempted engage. Nocturne Orianna combo does not pay off this time.
I wonder if Baus was actually at the end of that. You see him hovering around mid, thinking about diving with his ult potentially after they got chased. Rich Gang got chased to mid tower, being incredibly chunk, but clearly the play was called off if that ever was going to be a play. And it all starts off with a ball delivery option, trying to one-shot and punish the immobile control mage in side lane, but the damage just isn't there. You're too healthy and too tanky because of the levels on the side of Nemesis right now with Syndra. Alongside with that wild growth, you know, Lulu hovering, the Syndra right here, being able to play side lane to make sure that she can farm. It just means that the play does not go well for Rich Gang. The one-shot potential isn't there, and that's really painful because this is supposed to be your strength. You're supposed to be able to punish side lanes into the side of Los Ratones, and it's just not going too hot. Ozan, honestly, for all we've hyped him, honestly, to me, probably the best player on Rich Gang, has had a really rough series, like you're saying, yeah.
It's not been fun. He's 0-3-3. He's not found the engages so far on this Nocturne. Velia has been working with the priority lanes in top and bot to get a lot of value. Ganked mid repeatedly early on as well to kind of half the power of that mid-jungle duo that we were expecting to be dangerous here with Dehaste on this Orianna, who has gone towards a burst but is going towards Shadow Flame by the looks of it second as well to get as much value out of that initial shockwave burst as you can, but it's just not been particularly simple. There's that Hextech alternator. Dragon started. This is another early soul point from Los Ratones.
It is like 2 games in a row of extremely early dragon stacking, but Ripto placed mid. That could buy them time, but an EQ flash.
Oh, it's onto Kevo. The exhaust means nothing. They've blown up the Zeri. The gold leader has gone for Rich Gang. Now Ozan is dead as well. They tried to herald in mid lane, and Los Ratones go, no, you can't. They turn back towards the dragon, and they get the best of both worlds.
And I thought Kevo might flash the EQ from Jarvan right there. The dragon flag isn't going to be flashed in Kevo. He just gets completely popped. I mean, it's a kill on line push again. I feel like we're just seeing the exact same game where solo laners are winning, the jungle's doing extremely well, but look at this EQ where Kevo, he gets stunned up, it's chain CC'd, and there's maybe a frame where he could spam, flash, and get away, but it doesn't quite work out. I could even be wrong there. The chain CC into the pop, the one shot, there's no counterplay for the Zeri.
It's rough. No way out. Does have a flash, I guess, but I'm not even sure that gets you out to safety in the grand scheme of things. Got the Hurricane now, but again, with this build, you get a lot of ults, you get a little bit more HP, but you don't have the raw burst, and that damage looking a little bit dicey. And we already said, let's be real, Los Ratones with a Sivir backed up by a Lulu. I don't think you outscale here as Rich Gang. You need to be winning now, and they really are.
They really should be winning now. This is where their composition is extremely strong, and one of the thin windows where I feel like Rich Gang are stronger in general, but because of the lead that Los Ratones have, Rich Gang have entered their strong point even. And so when your lead and your compositioning is neutered like this, you just really can't do that much to force a bigger lead. And because of that, you know, Los Ratones are now on soul point, and every fight just doesn't look amazing. In fact, Los Ratones are straight up winning. So typically the way that you want to counter, you know, an enchanter is to find uncounterable dive. And so what we're really looking at right here is a perfect layering of one-shot potential and picks onto Crowny right now with team fights where Ambessa and Nocturne line up, but Ozan and Dehaste, they're going to walk over a ward. There's knowledge right now that Nocturne Ori are going to look for a combo.
There is, and then the Jarvan's just coming on forwards and getting rid of all this vision, because you know what else on the bot side of the map? The Atakan. Los Ratones might be starting to threaten that particular objective, though I say that, and I've seen quite a lot of teams with very significant gold leads do a little bit the Intercarn angle around that of late. The resist
I like
is so ridiculous.
I haven't heard that one. Intercarn, okay. Yeah, I've just heard Atakan throws, but Alaric gonna contest line bush right here. I guess there's not really any need for Los Ratones to even start up Atakan. I feel like that's just a potential throw angle. They outscale, they can just chill, they can just play for the fourth dragon for soul right here and take the only fights that are necessary.
Don't take the risk, exactly.
Yeah.
All that resistance,
when you're
that's how
already
you lose the game.
outscaled, there's just no need. Yeah. And it looks like they completely agree. Bao's going to shift from top push to mid as Kevin burns his ulti.
Lightning Crash comes on down and on the hunt to trade back out and away. That's Velia, though, a little bit split off from the squad. Does he get a shockwave, but there's a wild growth to keep him safe, but they just turn it around. The power's unleashed. And Crowny with a ricochet of pizza brings down Ozan, who's just feeling a little bit too full after all of that food.
Yeah, 0-5 now on the Nocturne. The dives really aren't working out too well. The laser's going to be eaten by the spell shield, and that's going to be mid-tower as Nemesis threatens the flank.
Oh, he gets the side of Alaric and Kevo mid-quickness.
Oh.
They will turn off the turret after. It's disaster into disaster. Kevo over the wall will throw an Ultra Shock laser. Another double scatter of the week.
God.
Nemesis hits the absolute max value on scatter those fights.
I mean, Nemesis and Velia have been demons, but then you throw in Crowny with the boomerangs, and now Baus is going to finish off Kevo with the Protobelt. It is brutal.
That could not have gone worse for Rich Gang. We'll get the replay, and I apologize for the brutalization we're about to witness.
Yeah, I think this team fight belongs on a different side. This is kind of crazy. Look at this engage. It feels so scattered with no follow-up from the Rakan, which usually uses the mobility of Rakan to layer on top of any kind of dive with the charm and so on. And Bessa's late, so Baus always has perma push. But look at this scatter the week into a dive, and I just watched the smush right here.
It just couldn't go worse.
One hell of a pancake, and then here, watch the boomerangs to chain. That is, I mean, eviscerate. You like your big words, don't you, Sam?
It's a good one.
That is, yeah.
Here's another really good one for you. Vitrify. To turn to glass and dust. There is nothing left. It is brutalist.
I think that's appropriate. That is definitely appropriate as the gauge comes through.
I don't really know whether that's an engage or maybe a really quick journey over the cliff Lemming style. It is, in fact, a journey over the cliff Lemming style. As Crowny says, here, let me shove you over a little bit further. Baus now on a flank. Alaric's about to realize, oh no, there's a really angry bear
Flash
here.
to Haste.
De Haste is trapped inside the cataclysm. Baus can't actually get involved. And so it doesn't get the assist, but the kill still goes down. Cataclysm keeps that robot woman trapped up for a little bit too long, and there will be no more dancing for the mid laner of Rich Gang.
I mean, Baus isn't done yet. He's trying to look for trades, that AP volley, the E, the skies, but it looks really, really painful there, although that might be the ultimate. But that's a tier 2. Matix is looking for a potential engage.
Flash, quickness, does get the backside. Crowny now in danger to get a bit of a shield there with the barrier. Now Velia coming on over. They polymorph Matix, the Ambessa, as the body rabbit gets nothing down, and Crowny gets a double.
Matix tries, and on the 1.5 item spike, that isn't going to be quite enough. He gets altered down, essentially 1v1'd by Crowny as an AD carry right there. I mean, this has to be an attempt onto the 2 carries of Lost Ratones overextending right here with the ball, but they must have maybe gotten rid of the ball and not quite found it. I'm sure because Orianna was around, they must have misplayed that and gotten the combo wrong in some sort of way. We couldn't quite see on the left-hand side what happened, but De Haste has no flash in this regard as well. And its entire time, the shields are there for Lulu. So Velia, he's never dying. He's going to be able to absorb anything with the Ws as well for the Jarvan. Super, super tanky under tower. And Baus says, you know what, we're not done here as well. I'm going to chase Kevo. And they find the kills onto Kevo and Alaric after this too. But
the turret and
this is a 1v1
comes
to Crowny.
He just says, yeah, I'm not dying. He gets shield from Reckless. He's got barrier to work with and just murders them all. They're finding another stun. Alaric needs to get away from that force of will. These splinters of wrath have long been collected by Nemesis, so he's got executes and fake AP death caps, courtesy of that pass. And now Ozan's going to throw it off the lights, and unfortunately the paranoia really was justified. They are out to get you. They'll teleport in and de-haste. Oh boy, that TP. Yeah, you guessed it, it sucked. The Cataclysm comes on now. Flag drag across onto Alaric. Kevo is split off from the team, and he is swiftly brought low as well. Velia gets that one on the killing spree. Flash out of the sky spinner, but the rocket belt after. You can't run away from this volley bat. As Baus picks up another. Lost Ratones. It's 25 minutes on the clock, and the inhibitors are falling.
That's, yeah, it looks like it's going to be wrapped up in under 27 minutes, 26:30, thereabouts, if LR choose to end the game right now. Alaric's not going to be able to do anything. He's going to watch the Nexus explode. That is what are these 2 games, Sam? This has been so brutal.
Welcome to the clinic, folks. It is absolutely disciplined. It is absolutely clinical.